Live from Africa, you're watching Influence Africa TV News. I am Donna Bembe. Thank you for joining us. The National Prosecuting Office has today indicted a senior government official on charges of corruption. According to the National Prosecuting Office, Councillor Grace Paya will be facing charges of corruption and illicit enrichment. In this regard, Councillor Grace Paya is alleged to be living above her means, with several media reports of a lavish lifestyle, which includes the purchase of several supercars, including a special edition sports car valued at over $1 million. Notably, reports from Space newspaper a month ago alleged that Councillor Grace Paya had purchased several luxurious homes in choice locations in Africa and Europe, which also includes a mention worth 20 million UK pounds in the prestigious Bishop's Court in England. If found guilty of corruption, Councillor Grace Paya would not only lose a position in government but faces up to 25 years in prison. We caught up with the case investigative officer, Detective Paul Tico, and this is what he had to say.
Yeah.
Tell us what's happening with Councillor Grace Paya.
Oh, we can confirm right now that she's going to be arraigned in court and she's going to be charged for corruption and illegal enrichment. In particular, we are going to use asset declaration form as an evidence, because when she came into government 3 years back, she was worth less than $1 million, but now we've been able to trace over $50 million into our account, and we are going to freeze our various accounts and confiscate our properties.
We all know that Councillor Grace Paya is a very powerful woman. Yes. Do you have the political will to try this case?
Look, the National Prosecuting Office and the Anti-Corruption Commission are working together, and we have a strong case against her. We do have a strong case against her.
Detective Tico, do you think this case is politically motivated? Do you have the express approval of the president to prosecute this matter?
I'm sorry, I don't have a comment to that. Thank you very much.
One last question.
Influence Africa TV News also tried to catch up with the Councillor Grace Paya, and despite several efforts, the embattled councillor did not want to engage with us.
Councillor Grace Paya, what do you have to say about this matter? Councillor Grace Paya, how much the government goes to How do you feel about stealing money from the government?
No comment.
In a related development, the Civil Society Coalition is up in arms and is putting pressure on the National Prosecuting Office to ensure that the case against Councillor Grace Paya is effectively prosecuted. We'll be going on a commercial break shortly, and when we return, we will be engaging with the views of the leader of the Civil Society Coalition, Comrade Baba Dada, who has been very vocal about the level of corruption in the country involving senior government officials. Stay tuned.
Africa, arise. Let's fight corruption in our continent. In our continent, Africa, arise. Let's fight corruption in our continent. In our continent, Africa, Africa, hey. Say no to corruption, Africa, Africa, hey. Say no to corruption, Africa, Africa, hey. Say no to corruption. We can live in a better place if we fight against corruption.
His name? Oh, that works. Sound good. Councillor, I think you need to take a look at this. Doesn't look good, right? Madam, how do we explain these discrepancies? At the first place, you are actually the person that caused this problem, because if you had declared your asset yearly like you're supposed to have done, all these things wouldn't have come up at all. But just because you didn't do that, that's why all these problems are started happening now. So what am I supposed to do? How am I going to make it go away?
Tell them it's gifts.
I should tell them
It's gifts. Yes, everybody knows that when you're a town councillor, people give you gifts all the time.
Gifts.
So tell them that.
Madam, this is a civilized world and people know things these days. There's some things you don't just go out there and start telling people. They will look at me as a fool. How can I tell them that all these things are gifts?
But that's your job, isn't it? You figure that one out. It's your job. That's what I paid you for, isn't it?
Okay.
Madam, I don't think you understand the seriousness of this issue. If we had declared your assets, it would be better. Now civic society groups will be up in arms if the evidence just disappears. Because over this year, you have accumulated so much wealth.
You mean this? Nobody told me I was supposed to fill those asset declaration forms, and who knows how to fill them. I just saw them on my desk and I tossed them aside. And now because I didn't fill them, I'm in trouble?
Yes, Madam Councillor, you are in trouble. Because the public prosecutor has got a strong case here against you.
And that's because they already believe that your assets were acquired through corrupt means. And for a public official living in a country that has signed and ratified the AU Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption, that is something else. I mean, according to Article 16 of the Convention, it stipulates that 1. Each state party shall adopt such legislative means as may be necessary to enable A. its competent authorities to search, identify, trace, administer and freeze, or even seize the instrumentalities and proceeds of corruption pending a final decision. And as if that is not enough, Part B also speaks to confiscation of proceeds or property, the value of which corresponds to that of such proceeds derived from offences established under the confines of this convention. Now you understand how serious your matter is now.
She is right, Madam Councillor. In this case, there is absolutely nothing we can do. Whatever you and our colleague have discussed and have paged each other to make this case disappear, it will not happen in this law firm. We will not do it. Based on our professional conduct, there are things that we can do, there are things that we cannot do. And this is one of those things that we cannot do because a prosecution team has got a strong case against you here.
I don't understand why these people are on my case. I've paid my dues for this party. I've been a loyal member of this party, and these people are still on my case even now. Sir, I need you to sort this out as of immediately because this is a political vendetta. This is a political conspiracy against me. So you, sir, as a political leader, I need you to speak to the president as of immediately. Get him to sort this mess out because these people are just gunning against me. I've served hard for this party. So you people, you must save me now. If you tell that lie, if I go down, I'm not going down alone. So you people must save me now. You know that I've been a loyal member of this party.
Madam, this thing is so disturbing. What are we going to do about this?
Yeah. I've also been trying to get a political resolution to this thing. I just spoke to the office of the Senate right now. I spoke to the Speaker of the President, and now I just spoke to the legal team of the party, and they assured me, they guaranteed me that this thing, they will get to the bottom of it. They'll come with a political resolution of this issue. So yeah, I'm not worried after all. I'm so certain and I'm so sure that they will get to the bottom of it. After all, you do know that we run this country. So they will sort this out. So yeah.
That is so great. I was really worried about this. And the amount of negative press we've been receiving. I didn't know what we were going to do.
Yeah, those ones, those journalists, they just, it's just a political vendetta against me. They're just trying to get my political career down, and they're not gonna survive with it. Oh, thank you very much. So I'm really not worried about those ones. But anyway, we shouldn't worry because the political leader has assured me that this thing will go off. They will get to the bottom of it and they will deal with it as a political conspiracy. And come in 2 months' time, we will be finished with this case. It will roll down, and in 2 months' time, you and I will be having a high tea at the Ritz in London.
That sounds good to me, madam.
I am very certain about it. It will be sorted out.
I can't wait for this to be over.
The office of the president itself has assured me that this thing will be resolved politically. So don't worry about the paparazzi. Oh, those journalists.
Oh,
I really hate those people.
They're like vultures, madam. You know?
This too.
And who could that be?
Hey, just check.
Hello, sir. May I ask who you are?
Madam Grace Mayam.
Who's asking?
Yeah. My name is Detective Paul
Detective?
Tico. He's my partner, Inspector Osman. We are here to place you under arrest.
Arrest me?
You. Yes, madam.
Hey,
for you to follow us to our station.
You don't
Do you know who this is?
Hey, me under arrest. Do you know who I am?
Right, madam, you have the right.
Do you know
to
who I
remain
am?
Silent.
I'm Councillor
Anything
Grace. You
say
can't arrest me.
or do will be used against you in court.
You people.
You also have a right to an attorney.
Right now.
Madam,
Why
let's
are you
go.
taking me? You can't take me.
Madam, do you want us to do this the easy way or the right
You
or
need
the
to
hard
call
way?
my legal. Where are you taking me? Yes, madam. I will call my legal team right now. Call the legal team of the political party. Why you can't take me? You cannot arrest me. I'm Grace Paya.
Thank you.
In many parts of Africa, admission into public service positions are often viewed to be synonymous with the opportunity for illicit personal enrichment. This is the case of unscrupulous public officials who are more interested in acquiring personal wealth rather than pursuing the socio-economic development of the public they serve.
If you think about one head of state richer than his own country, we have had it in Africa. You know, where did he get the money from when he came to power as a pauper? Not better than me.
Unexplained wealth, which is very critical today in Africa. And I think Apollos was explaining that. How would you account as a public servant to own several houses, have several vehicles, when your remuneration is below average?
Arguably, asset declaration is one of the best that the anti-corruption tools designed to minimize conflicts of interest among public officials by ensuring that they do not unduly acquire wealth while in office. Although financial disclosure may not provide a foolproof remedy against corruption, if used effectively, it can go a long way in promoting the tenets of good governance, namely responsibility, transparency, accountability, and fairness.
Well, you see, asset declaration is a mechanism for checking conflict of interest within public officials. Because the way it works is this, is that when a public official is seen to be living above their means, then one of the first starting points, if you want to launch an investigation, is to go back and say, you know what assets did they have at the time they came into office, and therefore be able to determine if there has been any unreasonable acquisition of assets during the period they have been in office.
Now, the reason also why they have to declare these assets and other outside interests is because they have a fiduciary duty towards the state, the government, and ultimately towards the public, to us, each and every person in the public. And that fiduciary duty means that they have a duty of care and diligence to manage, monitor, look after, and do what is best in public interest. So you must really be able to have a good and mature view of where you have a conflict, especially in business enterprises, and you must be able to realize that you should declare it.
For politically exposed persons as well as senior government officials, asset declaration also demonstrates the leadership's commitment to the fight against corruption.
It is very critical for you to verify. That is, when you come in, you're appointed as a minister, you declare what you have as assets. And you continue to declare so that we monitor what you've acquired in the course of the years. We have an occasion of one minister acquiring 3 houses within 2 years. And he was summoned to explain.
I think that public officials, because they are open to such scrutiny, it is even more important for them to actually go overboard with the declaration of assets and indeed any outside interests. You know, these are the people who are supposed to lead by example. You absolutely have to have ethical leadership in the government and the state in order for it to filter down to business and civil society and society as such as well. So if they set the example, then everything will just work out better.
It is evident that asset declaration is fundamental to building public trust and promoting ethical standards within the public service in Africa. According to Article 7 of the African Union Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption, the African Union expects African governments to require all designated public officials to declare their assets at the time of assumption of office, during and after their term of office in the public service. However, a number of experts argue that for asset declaration to be effective, there needs to be a proper supportive system and infrastructure. This involves, firstly, ensuring that there exists an appropriate legal framework.
These are the issues we must address. And are we prepared to take this fight forward? So you must be able to encompass and make legislations to affect the unexplained wealth of public servants.
We've discovered, for example, that our assets declaration rules and laws as cast do not bring to light or are not cast in a way that will necessarily show corruption or the potential for inducement. What they may show is conflicts of interest by public officers in terms of their interests in other businesses, but the assets declaration as a tool has not necessarily been used. You know, we're not comparing notes on public officers when they come into office and then comparing again when they leave office to actually use that legislative framework in order to avoid corruption. So I think for many of us, we're still seeing how to use these wonderful pieces of legislation.
Secondly, should all public servants declare their assets, or should this be limited to senior public officials only?
But what's important is that depends on how effective the system itself. Because the experience is that there are certain countries with such laws in place, but the effectiveness of such laws. Take an example. You have a public service which is comprised of thousands and thousands of officials. And if you say all these officials must declare their assets every year, it may not be easily manageable. The law is there, but how effective is the law?
Thirdly, in order to strengthen asset declaration mechanisms, there is the need to establish appropriate codes of conduct to guide public officials on professional and ethical matters.
You know, most of these declaration systems, they are self-governing systems, and which will probably just have a consequence management aspect attached to it. So the policy would usually state that you must declare all your outside interests according to these categories or these types, and if you do not declare it, and if it is found that you are that you have a conflict, then you can be involved in some disciplinary hearing.
Conflict of interest is better placed in the code of conduct. Anybody who infringes that provision must resign. Resignation, to me, is a sufficient punishment.
And again during the financial crisis that we've just been through, the whole financial meltdown globally, there was one aspect that came out so strongly, and it was that lack of ethical leadership.
Public officials require training and capacity building on matters relating to asset declaration, conflicts of interest, social responsibility, corporate governance, and professional ethics.
You know, we never know what we don't know. And I think a very important aspect that all states and government must consider is actually bringing in an awareness or a training initiative to let public officers really know what they should declare and why they should declare it. You know, because if you understand the rationale behind it, then it becomes easier to understand what responsibility you have, and because that responsibility, you also have to be accountable. And in this instance, you know, the accountability to public is actually more onerous than it would be in a company to your shareholders, because public is the whole country.
For an asset declaration regime to be effective, there is also the need to have a well-functioning system for tracing assets involving collaboration among key institutions and role players.
And that is why it will then sit with building coalitions, coordinating work, because you can only do that if you have an effective Administrator General's office where you go, you record and register your instruments or your title of documents. If you're unable to have a process where you cannot trace someone's title, someone's asset, it becomes very difficult. So that is why in the fight against corruption, it is not a one-road track. We have to capacitate the other institutions also.
Dans la corruption, ouais. Dans la corruption, Africa dans la corruption, ouais. À la corruption, on fait d'accentuer famine, conséquences maladie, à cause de la corruption.
Riche continent, dépourvu d'évolution due à la mauvaise gouvernance politique et financière, nos richesses volées, une éducation corrompue qui promouvoit la voyoucratie sénile dans les rues d'Afrique. Lève-toi Afrique, et bats-toi contre la corruption qui détruit les mœurs et ton avenir.